So let's take a look at lyrics today. This is something that is not really my strong suit. I come from more of a pop, the pop world is my world. And so when I would write lyrics for pop songs, I would write it with a much larger brushstroke. I could sing about whatever I wanted to in whatever way I felt, because it was about me and my thoughts. Whereas with musical theater and writing lyrics, it's a much different approach. It's got to be something that propels the story. It's got to be something that's really specific. And so we're going to take a look at a song that I've been working on and take a deeper dive. And I'll give you a few pointers on how you can get a little more specific with your lyrics. So the song is called Secret War. And at first I just kind of wrote lyrics that were about, hey, this niece and nephew really hate their aunt and they're totally in a fight. And when Joe took a look at these lyrics, he said, how can we take this to the next level? What's the war? And I was like, well, they hate each other. And he's like, no, but like what kinds of things do they do back and forth that create tension? And so that was really helpful advice in terms of taking these lyrics a little bit deeper. So at first we have Rupert saying, just setting up the story, just two kids in a world full of pity when mom and dad left us with the old biddy. She took us in, but it weren't too pretty, and here's where we get to the nitty gritty. So I've set it up. She took us in, but she left her love at the door. That is still pretty broad. We haven't gotten specific yet. And this is where we get to learn a little bit more about Cynthia. She says, she wouldn't let me wear my miniskirt to church no more. So it kind of shows us that she's a little bit of a rebel. You don't see a lot of miniskirts at traditional church services. Rupert says, she told me that I had to lose some weight, work on your core. So before we knew it, Auntie Sal and us were in a war. So these are specific examples of like how she took a pot shot at Rupert and made him feel small.
Just two kids in a world full of pity when mom and dad left us with the old biddy. She took us in, but it weren't too pretty. And here is where we get to the nitty gritty. She took us in, but she left her love at the door. She wouldn't let me wear my miniskirt to church no more. She told me that I had to lose some weight, work on your core. Before we knew it, Auntie Sal and us were in a war. You'll never see.
Another thing that was really helpful was originally the chorus was just, so now we're in a war, in a war, in a war, in a war. She doesn't know it, but Aunt Sal and us are in a war. And the way that I took that a little bit deeper was I gave some examples of things that Aunt Sal would say to Cynthia or Rupert. So like, just mean things like, oh, you'll never see Broadway with those two left feet, in a war. Rupert, what she says to Rupert is, find a woman and get a job already, in a war. So these are examples of how they're in a war. And then we learn a little bit more about Cynthia here. Stop watching me sleep at night. In a war. So she takes it a little bit to the extreme, and we learn that, oh, maybe Cynthia is a crazy girl. And so I feel like these, just taking it a little bit of a dive deeper into specifics, takes the song to the next level.
We're in a war. You'll never see Broadway with those two left feet. In a war. Find a woman and get a job already. In a war. Stop watching me sleep at night. In a war. She doesn't know it, but Aunt Sal and us are in a war. You might think we have everything we want.
And what's funny is these are things that I already know about lyrics and I already know about writing, but sometimes it takes workshopping these ideas and opening it up to other brains that think like you or that have more experience than you, and having them take a real fresh look at your material and having that like humble, vulnerable heart to say, yeah, take a look at what I've done and how can I make it better. And this is a prime example of how you can elevate your song just like that.
I guess we'll never know for sure. What we do know is we are in a secret war.